Who's some of the other promoters in the city? Talk about, I know there's 8 Count. Are there other people promoting fights in the city? Talk about some of the other promotion companies.
I'm the only true promoter. I'm really the only true promoter.
You advertise.
But I don't know how those. Yeah, I don't know how they could call themselves promoters. I would call them more site providers. They provide sites. They're not promoters. So I think I'm the only promoter here because I'm the only one that's really doing it the real way, the way it should be done. And everybody else are I don't know what they're doing. I really don't pay attention to them, but I hear the rumblings of what they do, and it's nothing I would care to partake in.
All right, give me some of your history. Why you got into boxing? I've seen your fight against Foreman, pretty big name. That's great and everything. Who else have you fought? What are you proud of from your own career? What got you into promoting boxing? Just give me a little brief history of yourself and how you got into the sport.
You don't know? You didn't read this?
I do, but they don't.
Yeah, everybody knows. Are you kidding? Who are you kidding me? Everybody knows. I've been on that station forever. Everybody knows who I am.
No, not my generation. Tell the people of my generation. I know you're
okay. It was a thing. It was a thing to where, boxing was always in my blood. It was something I always wanted to do, even though my father wanted me to be a football player. For some reason, I just always gravitated to boxing. So I won in 1983 when most of you young kids weren't even born yet. I won a Golden Glove championship here, and then I went on in '85. I turned pro. I had 25 pro fights. I fought. I fought the guys you're supposed to fight when you're building up. I took the George Foreman fight on 4 days' notice, and all that nonsense. But at the end of the day, boxing is the one thing that I loved and what I knew the best. And so when I left Chicago after the Foreman fight and went to Detroit, I signed with my manager up there, Jackie Callan, who they went on to make the movie with Meg Ryan, played her. I wish Meg Ryan was my manager, actually. But anyways, they made that movie called Against the Ropes, and it was about James Toney was a kid that I had found in the gym. Omar Epps portrayed his character and part of my character rolled into one guy. And I spent a lot of time up there with Emmanuel Stewart and Tommy Hearns and, Jimmy Paul and some of the great Kronk fighters back in the heyday of Kronk. I mean, I worked along Tommy when he was ready for, getting ready to fight Juan Roldan and the second Ray Leonard fight. I mean, I was around that whole thing, so I got to see boxing on that real stage, a real level, and it was my Harvard education of boxing. So when I came back to Chicago and was going to make a comeback, I was in the gym training, and all the kids had no fights, no one had a fight. So they said, Bobby, why don't you fight? So I had learned a lot with taking James Toney, being involved with taking him from a 4-round prelim fighter to 2 years later, he's a world champion, knocked out Michael Nunn. I was in the corner that night. So, anything that's going on now, I've already, and I hate to use this term, but they've been there, done that. I hate that thing. Yeah. But it's like I've had the ESPN shows, the HBO shows, the Showtime shows. I've had world champions. I've ran the whole gamut, But the one goal that's eluding me is I want to make a Chicago kid a world champion. That's the one goal that I've set out since the beginning of time for Bobby Hitz in boxing to do as a business person, and that's the only one thing that's been eluding me thus far, is to take that local kid and make him a world champion. That's what I'm striving for.
That's great. Let me get your opinion on, the other competing fighting sport, the MMA. What do you think about the MMA? What do you think about it, the way it's run? What do you think of Dana White? What do you the overall MMA scene? What do you think about it?
I mean, I think Dana White's a genius. He's a genius. I think that he does a great job. It's a money machine. They're printing money. But in the same vein, they don't have to follow the same rules that we do. So, we're governed by federal government, the Muhammad Ali Act that we have to follow. They don't have to follow those same guidelines. So his business methods are a little bit different than ours, which is to his benefit at this point. I think, people always try to make the comparison MMA to boxing. It's just two entirely different, it's just two entirely different sports. It's almost like, I don't even know if this is a right analogy, but like comparing NASCAR to IndyCar racing. They're both cars, or Formula One racing or something, because they're both cars, they're both racing, but it's two different methods of a race. I would say Formula One racing is probably different. Right, it's just different. So boxing and MMA are really two entirely different things. And I've sat with a lot of my friends to watch them, and I got to tell you, the last fight that I got to watch, I got invited to come and watch. I don't even know DeSantos and some guy. I don't even know who the guy is. And I got to watch that fight with some friends, and one of the friends happened to be Vince Vaughn, the movie actor. And I got to tell you, his commentary on the fight was the funniest thing ever. It's like that made the evening enjoyable to me. For me to watch it, I get it, but I don't understand it. But there was a fight prior to that. I don't even know the two guys' names, but it was a bloodbath, and that was kind of interesting to me to watch. How these two young kids battled. So to me, I respect those guys that do that MMA, and they're athletes and they're great athletes, and just the sport is just different. That's all. So it's not from my generation. I'm not from that era, so it's something that's new to me. It's like I'm a classic rock guy nowadays. My son's into their rap music. It's just different. You know what I mean? So it's just different. It's a generational thing.
The top boxer in the entire world, the top MMA fighter in the entire world, same weight division. Who wins in a fight? But like you said, it's a different game. But you put gloves on an MMA fighter, maybe he takes down the boxer. But you take the gloves off the boxer, he fights the MMA guy. Who to win in the fight?
I mean, that's tough because that's a tough call because the sports are so different. I mean, if you think about this: how many MMA guys want to go into boxing? You know what I mean? Very few MMA guys go into boxing. But in the same token, you have a lot of boxers trying MMA, but you don't see it the other way around really. Like I had a boxer who was a very good, pretty well known to me, an MMA fighter, Jens Pulver, had turned pro with me, and Jens had a pretty good career, but then he went back to MMA. But it almost goes back to when I was fighting. In kickboxing was really popular. Right. And I used to train with a guy, Rob Salazar, who was the PKA light heavyweight world champion. And he was, he was a very, very well-schooled kickboxer. But there was just a little difference between kickboxing and boxing because the stance and all those things. So to go back to what you're saying about, it's like we're here at Rosebud Restaurant. It's like trying to compare Rosebud to Olive Garden. Rosebud has the best Italian food in the city. Right. So it's the same thing. I don't know who would win that fight because the styles are different. If we're able to use 4-ounce gloves, well, then we got a puncher's chance. Yeah. But if one of those grapplers gets you down on the ground, it's all over. So, I mean, I just don't think that people always try to make that comparison. I really don't think it's fair. I think if you did this, tell the MMA guy, all you can do is box with the 4-ounce gloves, see who wins. Right. But then tell the boxer all you could do is grapple. So, it's kind of a silly argument actually because it's just two different things.
Well, now you're seeing like people like Freddie Roach actually training people like Jordan St. Pierre. I think you're going to see a lot more of that because they come from wrestling backgrounds, Muay Thai backgrounds, but that's just the way it goes. Before I let you go.
Wait, I was with a young MMA fighter last night, actually, and I was giving him a boxing lesson. I was in the restaurant with him, and I was showing him, he was showing me his tape of how he fought. And so I think a lot more of these MMA guys are going to start to get their, what do they call it, stand-up? Yeah. Did they call it?
Yes, stand-up and then
striking, stand-up, whatever, striking. I think, like I saw with kickboxing, a lot of those kickboxers who were well-versed in the martial arts started to really get into boxing. They really get their hands together. Right. I think you're going to see a lot more of that with MMA because, a lot of that, the stand-up is still, or that striking is still very, very prominent in that business. So I think it'll be, you're going to see a lot more guys making that transition.
What is your greatest career accomplishment to date?
I think just the mere fact that 25 years later, I'm still doing this in spite of all the some of the frauds and the things that go on in this business. I mean, there's guys who you have Elvis impersonators, you have Frank Sinatra impersonators, you got Bobby Hitz impersonators out there trying to do what I do. But like I said, there's a million Italian restaurants. There's only one Rosebud. Same thing in boxing. There's a million guys trying to attempt to do this thing. We do it the right way, and we do it. We don't steal anybody's ideas. You know who you are, you know what I'm talking about. We don't take anyone's ideas. We do our own thing. We walk to the beat of our own drum. We create our own brand and our own sorts of entertainment without taking anything from anybody else. You know what I'm talking about. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like my accomplishment is that we just do this thing the way we do it. I think keeping true to ourselves and keeping true to the fighters and to the fans first and foremost. The fan comes first.
So Bobby Hitz Promotions is your greatest accomplishment, you're telling me?
Yeah, I think being that I'm an 8th grade graduate and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, I mean, a matter of fact that I make a living. You know what I mean? So it's something I wake up every day and I love what I do. So that's an accomplishment. I get to talk to a young guy like you who has some desires for this sport and this business, which is terrific. I've gotten to do, a ton of, radio and television. And, Mitch, if you're listening, I'm always available. I mean, yeah, but so it's like, I mean, I think just living the life that we live, getting to live here in Chicago and just really, embarking on life is a really good accomplishment. Doing what you want to do with your life. All you young kids out there, have a goal for yourself and achieve that goal. Do what you want to do with your life and do it the right way and the honest way, and you'll have a great life ahead of you.
Last question: how big can Hitz Boxing be? Can you one day get into maybe the United Center and sell it out for 22,000 people? Can it be that big?
That's not a goal of mine, to be honest with you, because bigger isn't always better.
Right.
And what I try to do is, I've done shows in the Allstate Arena. We did a ton of shows out there. I mean, I've been in the big arena. I've been in the small ballrooms. We've done everything. And I think the whole key to it is what I try to do is create intimacy. And to have a fight night where there's an intimate setting, where everybody feels a part of it, where you could feel the blows, feel the fighters, the whole energy, I think is more important to me. That's my brand. As I try to create. When you're in a big airplane hangar, like the UIC or something like that, and you got 300 people in the joint, to me, there's no atmosphere. So to me, being in a big building doesn't mean success to me. That means just more expenses. So, I like what we have going with the Horseshoe Casino. I like what we have there. And to me, I'm in business with Caesars Entertainment. What gets bigger than that?
The best place to see a fight, in my opinion. It really is.
Right. And for those of you who haven't seen it, you should just come out. It's really something to behold. And it's great that especially, you can kill a lot of birds with one stone. You got the gambling there. You could smoke if you're a smoker. You get to smoke cigarettes or cigars, have some cocktails, watch the fights. So it's a great atmosphere.
Bobby, thanks so much. I hope that the city of Chicago, one day gets put back on the map regarding boxing. And good luck to you. February 15th at the Horseshoe Casino. Bobby Hitz.
Thank you. Thank you very much.